Hello, everyone. I'm Stacey Itobe, and today we have a very special Lumberjack Flashback talking about, honestly, one of the biggest moments in NAU athletics history over the last decade. I'm here with a handful of NAU volleyball players from the 2018 team: Abby Akin, Heaven Harris, Brittni Dorsey, Kaylie Jorgenson, Sydney Lema, and Jordan Anderson. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Awesome. Well, it's so great to have you all back together. And we're going to talk about your guys' win against number 8 ranked Florida back in September 2018. I know it's a night that you all remember really, really well. I remember well, and I'm sure all of Lumberjack country does as well. So how about we get started? So awesome. So yeah, in past years prior to the 2018 Lumberjack Classic, Coach Murphy was able to bring in a number of really solid teams, whether that was Loyola Marymount, and the year before, I believe it was ASU. And to get 8th ranked Florida, who, was the defending national runner-ups from the season before, into the Roll Activity Center. When you guys found out that the Gators were going to be on your schedule, and especially coming to Flagstaff, what were some of your initial reactions?
I personally looked at Ken and said, how did you swing that? I think we were all really excited, and it just kind of felt surreal at the time when we first got told, and then once we had the days leading up, the weeks, the months, it just got super exciting, and I think it was kind of motivating. Once we started preseason, it was something we looked forward to, so I think it was all kind of very exciting and driving, I guess.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before. I think it was really cool to be able to play them at home. Like, it's one thing to be able to play them, but being at home, it was really nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think for me, it was like my senior year, and it was kind of like rewarding. Like, we knew that we had worked so hard over the years and gotten so much better and trained with Ken, and it felt for me like we made it, and like we had this ability to be able to play such an amazing team, and for, like Brittni said, like for them to come to us, like it was just really rewarding, and I was just super excited to like not only play them but have our fans watch us play that game. And obviously the end result was amazing, but even just the chance to have that opportunity was awesome.
And it was a really awesome night as we mentioned. And the one thing Coach Ken Murphy really seems to harp on is it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net, as long as you guys take care of what you guys do best on your side of the net. You guys can compete against anyone, and obviously that night it was proof of that. But what was the message maybe that Coach Murphy had going into that match to the team, whether that's in the locker room or maybe the week leading up to the match, and maybe as Kaylie, Brittni, and Jordan as the seniors on that team? What were some of your thoughts to the team going into that night?
Yeah, we always talk about nameless, faceless opponent. That's something that Ken taught us over the years, and really what that means is just go in every match as we would every other match. So if they're better than us or they're worse than us, whatever it is, that we're just going to respect them and respect ourselves, do what we need to do, take care of the ball on our side, and treat every match the game. Or treat every match the same, sorry.
And I think we did exactly that. That morning, when we showed up, I think we played a match earlier that day also. We had 2 that day. And we weren't even thinking about that because we had 1 match already that we needed to play first before we could even get to that. And I think it could have been easy to kind of get caught up and just think about the Florida match because it was such a big deal. But we did a really good job of just taking it one game at a time, I guess. And I don't know, when we showed up that night for the match, it didn't feel much different. Of course we were excited and we had adrenaline, but it just kind of felt I don't know, a normal home night. And I feel we treated it that way throughout the match. So
yeah, I think what Ken had put into our heads before that game was not to get ahead of ourselves. It was every point we needed to treat the same, and just because there was so much buildup around it, I think it would have been easy to get a little too excited and maybe take points that we won too far and then get too beat up if we lost a point. But I think the little parts of our game are what won us that match. When we would go back to serve after we won a point, we served the ball hard. When we blocked for a purpose. And when we passed, we were trying to pass perfect balls. We weren't just trying to survive. We were actually doing the things we had put so many hours to in the preseason already, and we were trying to do them exactly right. So I think it wasn't just about it being Florida. It was like, okay, can we execute these things that we've been working on, or are we just going to get like our emotions too far ahead of ourselves? And I think that that's what kind of kept us in that match. And obviously in that tight game at the end, that's why we won, is because we stuck with those small detailed things the entire time. And I think that's all Ken wanted from us that day.
Yeah, and we were like never really worried. Like in the match, we were calm, even though the environment was crazy. Like I don't even like remember the crowd. Like I wasn't even paying attention to that. So like we were just all in it together, and it was like we were in flow state. Like we were all of us were just going for it like the entire time, locked in, and it was awesome.
You know, and I remember seeing, because as you mentioned, that was the nightcap of the first day of the Lumberjack Classic, and I remember Florida walked into the gym for their first match, and seeing Rachel Kramer, you know, a Phoenix native. I'm sure some of you, you know, Jordan and Heaven, Sydney, those from Phoenix, Abby, may have come across her, you know, in your club years and so forth. But, you know, for Abby, question for you, you know, Rachel Kramer, she comes in 6'8", and she's every bit of 6'8", you know, and for someone who's 6'3", you know, our tallest middle blocker, going up against someone, you know, seeing Rachel Kramer across the net, seeing, you know, 6'3", 6'4" on the outsides, that size can be imposing. It can be physical. So what's that like, seeing them come into the gym and seeing, wow, this is SEC type size, you know, on the other side?
I saw it as a great challenge, and to see other strong women who play a sport that I'm passionate about, it's just as empowering as my teammates next to me. And to play against somebody who's definitely that tall is a little bit intimidating, but it's also really cool. It's a really cool feeling to look back and think of the outcome and say, yeah, we beat them. And even though they are giants, like we still had the tools to take them down.
Definitely. And, you know, Sydney was like, I don't remember the crowd. Well, that crowd was rocking that night, you know, and I remember the week going into that, we had a bunch of Chomp the Gators promotions and so forth. And Roll came out in full support for you guys that night. And, you know, to start the match, it was a back and forth first set. Florida actually comes out and jumps out to an early lead, probably does what everyone maybe expected them to do. And then once you guys settled in, you know, Aubrey Banfield goes to the service line, serves you guys on a run, and you guys closed the first set strong. You guys hit 405 in the first set as a team. Take the first set. How much confidence does that give you guys going into set two, having taken that first game?
I think it helped us a lot. We were all like, none of us noticed that we were even down. Like, it didn't feel like a game where we were intimidated by the fact that we were losing. Like, I don't even remember the scores. I remember, like, I honestly just remember at the end when they would blow the whistle, and then I look up and I was like, oh my gosh, we won that. Okay. And then we would switch sides. Like that's kind of how it was for me. Like the whole time I barely even looked up at the score. It was mostly just like, I need to play, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think over the years, like, we've definitely been coached that way, to not look at the scoreboard. Like, just, we should be playing the same way every single point, you know, acting however you want to view it, acting as if it's like the game point, like every point matters regardless. And like Heaven said, like, I don't remember it that way either. I don't remember us being down, but what I do remember about our team, and I thought was so special, is that at any point in the season, if we'd be down in a game, like, we had the capability to come together and be like, we're going to push through this. We're going to get there. We're going to get what we want, you know? And so I think that ties into like our chemistry as a team, that we were just always there for each other and supporting each other and working hard and playing for each other.
And on top of that, I think being a senior in that game, I remember the first set, and I think the emotional support we had as a team, but also the skill-wise of I was a senior and I was an outside hitter, but I also had full faith in our setters giving the freshmen the ball in those tight matches. I've watched that game over, and we would give the ball to Ryan. Obviously, Heaven carried a big load, and Aubrey would go for a dump or serve aggressively, and those were freshmen on our team at that point. And I had full faith in them, just as I did with Brittni beside me at the net and Jordan behind me. And like, just kind of that aspect came through in the end because it was not on one person at all. You look at the stat sheet, and we all played phenomenal that day. And Sydney had a standout game that day, like everybody. So it wasn't one person.
Yeah.
And I think that made those tight games and us being down in the moment totally okay because all of us showed up that day. Especially with the double sub that we ran with Heaven coming in and out and Ryan and the setters changing. Every single person was on, and that made those points that we didn't win okay. And I think that made such a difference that day especially, and throughout the season for us.
Yeah, and it was kind of a heavyweight bout, a heavyweight match. You guys take the first set, Florida takes the second, and then you guys, it's 2-2 going into the final set. I can't imagine there's a whole lot that's said in going into that fifth set in your huddle, but if there was, what's the message? What's Coach Murphy telling you guys? What are you telling each other as teammates, saying, hey, this is all or nothing, this is do or die here, first to 15 wins?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing we were talking about in that moment was just like how grateful we were to be in that situation, and how like trusting our process and like the things that we do is seriously like all we need to do in order to get where we want to go. And so I just think like we were all really calm, and we were just like, I don't know, just like happy to be there, and like just happy to be competing at that high of a level because we had known we were capable of it, and we were just showing it that night, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I think obviously, like we said, it was super exciting to be able to play such an amazing program. But it was nothing that, we knew we could handle it, and Ken knew we could handle it. And he trained us so well, and we're such a team that worked so well together that we knew we could overcome anything, any obstacles. And like Sydney is saying, just being in that moment, just being present there was just such a blessing. And I don't know what Ken said to us, but I'm sure it was something along the lines that like, you guys got this. It's like any other game. Pretend like we're in practice. Just do what we do every single day in practice, and you guys will get, what you want and what we deserve, and we did. And that is just like such an amazing feeling that we can just look to each other and just do what we need to do that we would do in practice every day and accomplish such a big thing.
Yeah, I don't remember what Ken said, but I know it wasn't different than if we were in that same position playing any other team.
And, it's back and forth again. As it said, is going down to the wire. You guys are down 13-12 when Abby kills it 13-13. And, I just want to, before we talk about those final points, Kaylie, you were having an amazing match that night. There were kills from across the board. But as a middle, Abby, in that moment, knowing that, the opposition, the blockers across the net, there's attackers at all three spots. The ball gets set to you to tie that match at 13. How easy, I don't want to say how easy it makes your job, but when there's everyone can attack, how open does that leave the defense?
You mean like when I'm attacking?
Yeah,
or,
absolutely.
Well, when the pins are on fire, it's really hard for a middle for any team to decide which way to go. And then if you set the middle, it's kind of like another challenge. And so I think with the help of the setters and distributing the ball and the pins putting down the ball, like it made my job a lot easier than it was, or than it should be, like if I were to get every single ball.
And Sydney, so Abby kills the ball. Sydney goes to the service line. 14-13. And I know Sydney and I have talked about this in the past. It's match point. Sydney serves it. They attack. Sydney saves a ball that may have been going out.
It was going out, but it's okay.
What is when that's in real time? Sydney makes a call to make the play on the ball. What's everybody else thinking at that time?
I remember I think I was on the sideline, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I just remember being like freaked out because everyone was screaming out to Sydney. Like everyone.
Okay, no.
Yes,
it was a hard-driven ball, and I was like, all right, if Kaylie touched it and I don't get it, then that would be terrible. So I'm going to get it.
If I would have been Sydney, I would have 100% went for it because I knew she was so locked in. And I remember going to block that ball, and it was very close to my hands. And we know the refs, like, it could have really went either way. And the ball had a slant going upwards, so it could have looked like a touch. And I knew she was just so locked in that she put the ball high enough anyways for us to convert it and go on an attack is a better way to win in my eyes than her letting the ball go out.
If you look at like all of the things that Sydney like has done over the years, her saves are phenomenal. Like she literally risks herself like and her health every single time, and all of us get so scared because she just so freely will just throw her body like 50 feet across the floor, and it's just amazing. It's amazing.
Moral of the story is Sydney played that ball because she knew we had her back. She knew we were going to finish it for her. So good job, Sid.
Also, I knew that it was going to be fine. I was like, oh, Abby will just set it and it'll be fine.
Hey, it worked. And I'm just going to say, if everyone's shouting out with the crowd that we had that night, Sydney probably didn't hear it. So, and everything did work out fine. The ball, almost in a fitting way to end the match. Kaylie gets the kill, and then it happened. It's done. Everybody rushes the court. I'm sure nobody remembered what in the next 10 minutes happened after that. But the crowd of 1,000 is on the court celebrating with you guys. And how great did that feel once it all sank in?
Oh, so much fun. Just the fact, it was just so cool in the moment. Just such an amazing feeling. Like I was like almost like in shock that like I had all these like happy emotions, but I couldn't even express it enough because I was so happy. And we're like getting dogpiled. I remember Sid and I were like at the bottom of it, and like just seeing each other and like us all crying and grabbing each other and being like, what just happened? Like that was amazing. Like I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of myself. Like it was just such a cool moment for a team that was so close and such good friends that we accomplished something together so big. And then for our fans to be able to celebrate that moment with us, like the video of watching Kaylie get that kill and then all the fans rushing down is just like the coolest video. I personally didn't even realize that we didn't shake hands with Florida afterwards, so I do feel bad about that. But it was just like a surreal moment, like just the most amazing feeling, and for that to happen with my best friends was just like something I'll never forget.
The fans, we've talked about it, is the best in the Big Sky, if I'm being completely honest, and I know everyone agree. When you guys are playing in role, how almost invincible do you guys feel that it doesn't matter who you guys are playing, that with that crowd in the stands, you guys can come out on top?
Yeah, I think the fans definitely add a type of confidence. I've said this before where I've been asked, like, aren't you nervous playing like that physical of a sport in front of all those people? And I feel more comfortable in front of those people than I do in another gym and in an empty gym. I can do anything. None of us change. Like, we're still very goofy and do outrageous things with our fans in the gym. And I think that is very special. So having them be a part of all these like things with us, and let's be real, our fans had watched us lose some very big games in the past. So for them to be there for us on that day and us
Mm-hmm.
to give that to them, and then for us to give some credit to them because they do make us more comfortable. They get us going when we need something a little bit extra. So it's just so important being in that environment and having that, because sometimes it's tough on the road and we come home and we're exhausted. It's what we need to get through that game
Mm-hmm.
to get us going. So it's really special.
Yeah, I think we have like a sorry, a really unique fan base here because a lot of the players do have personal relationships with the fans.
Mhm.
So I think that's really comforting when we have them in the gym with us.
Yeah, I think like playing in role is probably one of the coolest things that I've ever done. Like the feeling that you get like when you walk in to go warm up or whatever is like it's just like the coolest thing. And it's so hard to explain. Like you just feel so comfortable and just like so lucky, I guess, to have all those fans and just like have the support and just like the feeling that you get when you go in there. And like I will miss that so much because it's the greatest thing. Like I can't even explain it, but I like you guys can probably agree, like it's really cool. It's really awesome what we have here.
Yeah, I agree. But Sid, you'll get that feeling again when you're the GA. Like like helping out this year, like I had the exact same feeling. Like I missed playing so much, but just walking in there knowing it was game day, like it's just an amazing feeling. And our fans are super awesome and they're dedicated to us. And on top of that, we have student athletes that are our friends and they're always at our games and cheering the loudest. And that's just an awesome thing that NAU has as an athletic community, that they are just so tight knit and supporting each other. And, you know, we'll go to their games and they'll come to ours. And I think that's an awesome thing that not every school gets an opportunity to have. And so for that, I'm really grateful that we had student athletes and friends that would come cheer us on, and on top of our fans that, you know, were just Flagstaff residents and just loved NAU volleyball.
So I'm going to ask a two-part question, and we're going to split the group in half right now. So first, Kaylie, Brittni, and Jordan, you guys were members of the 2015 championship team who won the championship in roll against Idaho State. Which night stands out more to you? The night you guys won the championship or the night you guys beat Florida?
Okay. For me personally, I do not discredit that team at all. Those are girls that made me a leader that I was. I took things from every single player on that team. But back then, I was not a 6 rotation player. And against Florida, I was. So for me, Florida obviously sticks out. But I wouldn't have been able to do what I did against Florida if it was not for that 2015 team.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like that team was an amazing. I was grateful that it was my freshman year, that right off the bat I got to learn so many things from really great leaders that we had on that team. And like Kaylie said, you know, I was playing DS that year, so I didn't have as big of a role as I did my senior year. So it was definitely still exciting. Like it was such an amazing experience and so much fun, and being able to be a part of that was amazing. But there was a sense of, you know, accomplishment that it was my senior year and being with my friends and doing, you know, having a bigger role in that game was really rewarding. That I felt like I worked so hard over the past few years that I was able to have that experience with my teammates and my friends. So I definitely agree that 100% credit to our 2015 team. They were amazing players and people and leaders, but it was nice to be on the other side of it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like 2015, those were the girls that when we came on our visits to NAU, those were the girls that we knew. Those were the girls that who we started with. So yeah, that was like a great team, such a great experience to be able to play in. But like being older and being able to recognize like what that big of a win means, I don't know, it's hard to say.
And then for, you know, Heaven, Sydney, and Abby, you guys came back obviously this past year, 2019, and you guys beat LSU and actually swept LSU. If we're going to let's just put it out there. You know, second year in a row, you guys beat an SEC team. I'm sure that the year prior beating the Gators gave you guys some big confidence when LSU came rolling in. But that night, 1 year later against LSU, what lessons did you guys learn from that match against Florida that helped you guys pull out that victory, 1 year later?
Okay, for me, before the Florida game, I knew that we were gonna beat them. I was so confident. People would ask me, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna win in 5. It'll be close, but we're gonna win because we're at home and we play so well when we're at home." And so, for me going into that, it was just like, that's gonna happen, and that's what it is. So then, when we got LSU on our schedule this past year, it was the same thing. I was like, well, they're coming here, so that's what that means. We're gonna win. So I don't know. It's just I guess I learned from Florida that, yeah, if you trust your process, good things will come. But over the years, I've learned that from everything, from practice, from games. And so I think just little moments over the years is what really prepared us to take on another SEC team. But yeah, being at home just really helped, and it just helped I don't know, instill the confidence that we needed.
For me, I feel like I learned to be patient and trust the process, just like everyone else, basically. Because I feel like we always talk about good things will come to us when we work hard for what we want and everything, and when we just keep doing what we do every single day in practice. So I feel like that was the biggest thing I learned, and not even really learned, because at that point I had already established it. So I think it was kind of just building on and on. Every game after that just kept building, trust the process, trust. So I think that was the biggest thing for me.
I think for me, I going into the Florida match, it was very difficult for me to control my nerves and the adrenaline pumping through my blood during right before we went on. And I think my teammates kind of had to bring me back and say we totally got this, and I'm kind of the person of I'm a realist, and I'm well, there's other aspects that go into winning a match, and so I kind of had that mindset before the Florida match. But before the LSU, because we won Florida before the LSU match, it kind of I was the one telling the nervous people on our team that everything's going to be okay, and that we got this, and that it's just going to be another match. So, yeah.
And, to wrap up this conversation, NAU volleyball has kind of been on the rise as a program, over the last 4, 5, 6 years. And you all have been huge parts of that. So, the 2015 championship, of course, you guys go on to win the 2018 Big Sky Championship. You guys beat Florida, you beat LSU. You guys come close to beating Michigan. The program is in a completely different place than it was when you all entered the program. So kind of to wrap this up, how proud of yourselves, of your teammates, of Coach Murphy and the staff are you to be a part of NAU volleyball and putting NAU volleyball on the national volleyball map?
Yeah, it's definitely an awesome feeling. I'm not surprised, though. I know that, when I got recruited there, I knew there was great players then, and I knew when I got recruited, I came in with a great class. There was great class behind me, and the year after that, Ken did, and Anna and Kat and Rachel did an amazing job recruiting and kind of really shaping NAU volleyball into a program that Ken saw the potential in. He's creating this program that he knew would be this good by now and is going to just get better from here on out. And, he's an amazing coach, and he has amazing assistants and recruiting abilities. And he really just brings in good people and good players that want to work hard and want to make the program the best it can be. So it's a great thing to say that I played for Ken Murphy, because he really is an amazing coach. And I think that he's recruited such amazing girls that you know, on and off the court. So I'm grateful for my experience at NAU.
I agree. Ken recruits like very good players. But the biggest thing for me is he teaches you how to win. And it's not like just like through a competitive standpoint, but he teaches you like how to trust yourself and like really allow yourself to grow into the player and the person that you can be. And so I think like that is one of the biggest things about Ken that like I'm so grateful for, is that he has taught me like to be my best, and like he's helped me when I was struggling, and he has just like, I don't know, he's just been there for all of us, and he's contributed so much to what we've done and probably where we're going to go. So
yeah, I feel like I'm really happy that I got to learn different leadership styles. Like everyone's so different in how they lead a group of people, and not even just Ken, but like just older girls, like everyone that's here right now, like to be able to have taken in all of their leadership styles, and like they took in the people before them, and like being able to give that to like the girls that are on the team now, it's like super rewarding. And it's like, it kind of feels like I'm like living their legend or whatever, like like I'm just kind of like helping that become a thing that like hopefully I can pass down to like the girls on the team now too. So that's one thing that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, I agree. I think this season was the one that at least I was most proud of, because all the people that were on the court were people who we watched become the players who they were. So that's a really rewarding feeling as a senior.
Yeah, and like I remember when we won the championship at the end of the year, like I turned to Brittni and Kaylie and we all had like a group hug, and I was like, we did it. Like, but it was just like, we weren't shocked. Like we knew that we were going to win that year. Like we sat down with Ken before preseason and we were like, we're going to win this year. Like 100%, we will do whatever it takes. Like, and so I'm just so proud of like the fact that we knew that we were going to do it. And then we had our team just like work so hard together and get along so well, and just have this ultimate goal that nothing was going to stop us, even, you know, through the peaks and the valleys throughout the season, that we just knew we were going to do it. So it was like a great feeling to leave, personally, for me to leave NAU volleyball that year on such like a high note. So, and I know that they'll just get better from here on out.
Yeah, I think my thing is when I first got to NAU, I was a completely different person and player than I was when I left. We can all agree to that. But I think that that's what I'm most proud of, is this program isn't just about popping out wins and just having athletes. So when I hear about where this program's going and who's coming in and the accomplishments that are going on, I know it's more than what's on the paper. And that makes me really proud. Is I want to know, and I can sense the work that was put in behind that, and the thought and the reasons and the support. And that's what makes me so proud to have been there. So now when I go back to visit, when they keep doing all these amazing things, I feel connected, and I'm just proud because I got an opportunity like that. I got the opportunity to grow. I got the opportunity to fail, and I got the opportunity to become a better version of myself for the rest of my life. So I'm just proud of the program, the people that they have around. And that's something I learned, is if you don't fit into the program, you just won't be a part of the program. And it's something that anyone with a good personality that's driven, who wants to achieve, will want to be a part of that program.
Well,
I want to say, for if Ken and Anna and Kat and Rachel watch this, like, thank you so much for the best 4 years of college. You guys definitely had a big impact on my 4 years, and like, we're talking about the legacy that we're leaving on NAU volleyball, but they also have a big part in that legacy. So thank you.
Absolutely, that's the perfect way to end it. And you know, Heaven, you mentioned learning from upperclassmen and so forth. Well, you got 5 others here that I know play a big role in your career, and we're looking forward to getting you back on the court next year, or this fall, I should say. I know it's going to be a little bit of a different 2020 season with everything going on, but ready for you to lead the 2020 Lumberjacks hopefully toward the Big Sky Championship. Well, thank you everyone for joining. It's been a ton of fun. Of course, that night's a ton of fun to talk about, and hope you all continue to stay well. And as always, go Jacks!
Go Jacks! Go Jacks!